Hello, my name is Peyton Pruitt, and I'm the youth minister here at the Chapel Hill Church of Christ. We are so glad that each and every one of you are here today to help us celebrate this milestone of our 100th anniversary. If you are visiting with us today, you are truly our honored guest, and we are thrilled that you have chosen to join us today. If you don't mind, please hang around after the video and join us in the fellowship hall for a meal. Allow us to get to know you, and if you are a former member, we cannot wait to catch up with you. We miss all of you, but again, thank you so much for being here.
My name is Preston Pratt. I was a member at Chapel Hill for roughly 20 years. My parents and sister and brother-in-law still go there, and so that's my connection. Currently, I'm in Destin, Florida. I serve as youth minister for Destin Church of Christ, and I've been here in Destin for almost 4 years now. Since I was 2, I started going there. Has just molded me into who I am today. From the classes when I was a kid growing up, the Sunday school classes, having just some awesome teachers and great mentors, to be in the youth group. And I can just remember memories with Mike Johnson and different summer interns with Bo Pugh, and obviously when John David came, and having those mentors, having those classes, has kind of shaped me into who I am, growing up and hearing great lessons from Stan, and having Bible Bowl and just having all those experiences, summer camp, and then when I got older, being able to go to Seated Children and mission trips, and so all those, everything together, and just having such a good support group at Chapel Hill has really helped me to become who I am today, become the minister I am today, and really just the man and Christian follower of Christ because of the great examples that I had growing up at Chapel Hill. I remember some great Bible Bowl times with Mike Johnson and my dad, and the trips we would take out to Cookeville. I just had some great memories just in the teen class with Mike Johnson, and I remember the Bible lands with Eric Bunny, and just some awesome times growing up. All kind of memories. I remember being a kid and just running to the annex after church and playing sports, and remember a time I was in the annex and Whitney Darty busted my head open. I still got stitches over here, but man, just everything. There's kind of just all kind of reminders. I mean, it's always good to go back and be home and to have those nostalgic feelings of everything you went through growing up there. So it's always a good time to get back. I think the best advice for any church is try to keep the most important things to the most important. When we as the church, remember to love God and to love God's people, that everything else kind of falls into place after those two important things. Just a thanks to the people. What makes Chapel Hill so great is it's full of great, awesome people that love God and love each other, and try their best to follow what they've learned through the Bible, and really just their examples and the way they carry themselves has helped me, and they've continued to come and visit Destin and see me and keep in touch with me, and just a appreciation for everyone there and who they are and who they continue to be.
Hi, my name is Sam Wilson. I'm from Chapel Hill, Tennessee, and I grew up going to Chapel Hill. If you don't know me, you probably know some family members of mine. John and Lisa Wilson are my parents, and Ed and Joy Darty are my grandparents, and there are plenty of others there at Chapel Hill as well that I'm related to somehow. Now I'm in Miami, Florida at Sunset Church of Christ. I'm the youth minister there, and I've been here for about 1.5 years now. There are so many people that have been a huge part of my development as a Christian. I think that's where Chapel Hill has really made its biggest impact. Being a part of that church has been the reason that I am who I am today. All of the influence that I had pretty much came through Chapel Hill, and of course John David Schwartz and Stan Butt were there the whole time I was there, or almost, and they've had a huge influence on my life, and just being a part of the youth group at Chapel Hill and growing up there has led me to where I am now. I wouldn't be able to see ministry or even faith in the same way without those people and those experiences. Things related to the youth group that we did outside of just being at church in class on Sunday and Wednesday, things like church camp and retreats and lock-ins and barbecues and whatever else, when people from Chapel Hill came together and ate together and had fun, played games. Just so many people were involved with the youth group. I was always very impressed with that, with the amount of parents and adults that volunteered and supported the youth ministry. And it definitely made an impact on me to have all of those people around. And I had a lot of fun and a lot of good experiences. Keep on with trusting God and putting Him first, because I know that is what Chapel Hill is all about, is prioritizing their relationship with God and putting that into place in every aspect of life, and making that not just something that they do, not just something that you do, but something that you are. And your faith is not it's not a hobby, but it is everything that makes up your life. Everything in your life revolves around your faith. And what I've seen of Chapel Hill in the years that I've been there is definitely a group of people that puts God at the center of their lives.
Well, my parents are Danny and Laura Bingham. They still attend there, and I started going to Chapel Hill Church of Christ when I was in 7th grade, and was a member there all through middle school and high school, and came back when I would come back home from Harding University, went to Chapel Hill Church of Christ. That was my home congregation, and I still find myself calling it, my home congregation, Chapel Hill. So I had to kind of correct myself from time to time on those sorts of things. But all of my youth ministry years were with Chapel Hill. I think that had a big impact on where I am now. I am now doing youth ministry at the Dermott Road Church of Christ in Plano, Texas, just north of Dallas. And I was blessed to be the first youth intern at Chapel Hill, which was a really neat experience, and kind of learning about ministry firsthand with John David and some of the great ministers like Stan there. So that obviously had a huge impact. But, just seeing everyone kind of chip in at Chapel Hill for a lot of different things, and then see how a community that is working with kind of that one church in a central location really impacted how I look for a church home and how I look for a church family, what I'm trying to get out of a church, but also kind of Chapel Hill had a huge impact on me not looking for what I'm going to get from a church, but what can I give to a church? What can I offer to all of it? Definitely had a huge impact on me going into the church. Well, with kind of my go-to advice for any congregation that for me, especially Chapel Hill being a growing town, growing place in Middle Tennessee. I would tell any church to be a growth-oriented church, and that means growing spiritually, growing in number, growing closer to each other, growing closer to God, but don't be growth at any cost. So be all about growing in all those areas, but not willing to sacrifice Christian values. So I remember when the pipes in the ceiling bust. And I was probably early high school, and it flooded the education wing at the time, and it was not a good problem to have. Water coming down the walls and filling the ceiling. It was winter. It was very cold. But I remember coming up to the church building, Dad making me go to the church building on a Saturday. And there were a whole lot of people there that were working on fixing that problem and making sure we were ready to go for church on Sunday. And so my final thoughts on 100 years of service and 100 years of serving the community and serving each other. Just keep doing what you're doing. Be about that growth, but also just keep serving and loving one another like we have done for such a long time.
We started, when I say we, me and some of my siblings, started riding the bus during around in '74, and so in March the 15th, 1975, I was converted or was baptized into Christ for Sunday evening. So that's how I became connected, was through the bus ministry that they had started, and through community inviting and door knocking and things of that nature. And so that's how I became affiliated with the church there. I'm with the 10th Avenue Church of Christ. I've been here now officially 3 years, and I am the preacher of this congregation. Well, it gave me the foundation, the fundamentals of what it means, because I preached my first sermon there at the age of 15, and through the encouragement of the elders and the preachers at that time, I was highly influenced by men like Clayton Pepper, who was very instrumental in evangelistic efforts. So it taught me how to be evangelistic, gave me a diversity of through the education program there. So it had many of the solid foundational principles that I could build upon as not only as a Christian, but as a minister that still is of value to me today. Probably in my teenage years, because that's when I was in, grade school and throughout my high school years. I had an excellent youth program. One of the fond memories at that time, a minister by the name of Randy Simmons had come in, and we had what we called Tuesday Night for Christ. It was Tuesday night or Thursday night for Christ, where we had the youth devotions and things of that nature. And just knowing that a lot of young Christians and the issues of life and things that many young people faced and dealt with, just had a great time in those periods of time, relationships and encouragement through the youth program and through many of the members at that time was great memory, gave me great memories of that church. And so it was just a variety of people and things that when you reflect back on it, you have great memories. I think it would probably be good if the church would kind of look back and reflect back on those years and look at the good things, the positive things that got them to where they are, and re-examine whether or not those principles are still true today, and if so, we may need to go back to doing some of those things, especially in the area of trying to grow beyond where you are. Sometimes we try to be innovative and try to be current and up to date with the present culture. And I know that methodologies change, but sometimes principles that was used in yesterdays of our life are very useful and valuable today. am thankful to God for what that church has meant to me over the years, because even after I left and got into some mission work and things of that nature, the church there was, and the eldership there was a great support in my work. Many times they would come down to see the work and encourage me in the work and things of that nature. And so it was kind of like my Philippi, and that's what I would consider Chapel Hill, as the Philippian church was to Paul. Chapel Hill has been to me.
Yes, I'm Kevin Doherty. My parents are Ed and Joy Doherty. Of course, my dad served as an elder there for many years, and so I basically grew up at Chapel Hill. My dad's family's from Chapel Hill. We lived in Lewisburg, traveled in for the services, and he wanted to be with his family. So I guess probably from 1965 or so, I guess, when I was a baby, started attending there, and probably when I left for Cookville in 1986. So basically, like I said, just grew up my whole childhood there at Chapel Hill Congregation. Currently now at Sycamore Church of Christ in Cookville, Tennessee. Been here 27 years, and I serve as a youth and family minister and have some other roles and duties as well. But it's been a blessing for me, and I have, continue to think about Chapel Hill. Love to go back and visit, and have many fond memories about that congregation. Yeah, they gave me a lot of opportunities to grow in my faith. Just have to be up front of the congregation, praying, reading scripture. I remember vividly taking some classes to teach you how to speak. Randy Simmons was teaching that class, and those were very valuable. They allowed me to work with the young people. I remember getting to plan a retreat or two, and of course the bus ministry was a great time. Very fond memories there of knocking doors on Saturday and picking the kids up on Sunday and doing Bible drills on the bus. Just working with young people and with families and getting out in the community taught me how to be evangelistic and to really just reach out with the gospel of Christ to others. So I just can't thank Chapel Hill enough and all the leaders at that time and all the mentors. I've got great memories of all of those young families that really brought me up to know the Lord and prepared me for ministry today. Yeah, just thinking back at the little building on Depot Street, I guess, is where I had a lot of my fond memories as a child. I remember playing chase in the parking lot. I think it was a big oak tree there with his base. Remember that. I remember gospel meetings. We would pack in people wall to wall. Brother Clayton Pepper and Brother A.D. Wright would speak, and other men would come in and speak, and it was nothing to have 15, 20 responses every night. And I just remember the energy in the building and just the very good times just hearing the Word of God, and how people were excited to come and pack that building. Of course, my baptism was there at the building, Depot Street. Had the privilege my dad baptizing me back in 1976, so definitely one of the highlights of my life. Bus ministry, as I mentioned, was a great fond memory, and like I said, I quit leave for ministry today. Continue to do what you're doing and have been doing. Continue to have that presence in the community they've always had. Chapel Hill has always been so diligent and so intentional to just reach out with people in the community for the gospel of Christ, especially young people and their families, which I think is so critical in the work of the church, and that's kept them fresh and alive and growing, and they never slow down. And I think just because of understanding they need to reach that child and that mom and that dad makes a big difference. And just continuing on that path, and the Lord will truly bless you another 100 years. But basically, just thank you for influencing my life, and and just really making me the man that I've become. And, you know, my mom and dad, you know, just been such a instrumental part of that congregation and brought me up to be strong in my faith. But again, just all the people that surrounded me in my life encouraged me and supported me there. You know, just keep on doing that. And again, just we never know the people we impact in our life, and we never know that someone we speak to today, you know, maybe 10 years from now, that they remember what we said. So I just remember the love and support and encouragement I have received from all the people at Chapel Hill. I love coming back home. I still call it home, and people make me feel so welcome, and just still make me feel part of that congregation. So just continue to do that, and the congregation will continue to thrive in the community.
My name is Randy Simmons. I was the minister at Chapel Hill from September 1977 to December 1981. And I am now in Fort Myers, Florida at the Gulf Coast Church of Christ and have been here for 33 years, since 1984. I have nothing but favorite memories of Chapel Hill. Chapel Hill was my first full-time preaching job, and I kind of think that a lot of preachers either leave preaching or stay in preaching based on their first job, and our first experience at Chapel Hill was just extraordinary and wonderful. So I have so many memories. We were there when the new building was built. When I got there, we were still in the church down on Depot Street, and we had, you know, pretty good success early on there in the church. Clayton Pepper had been there for a while and had been working in personal evangelism, and the bus ministry was going on, and had really strong elders and a strong set of people, a strong core of people. And so I have lots of memories of the bus ministry and great fellowship and evangelistic efforts, and a somewhat failed attempt at a trip to the Tulsa Soul Winning Workshop, where our church bus broke down in Jackson, Tennessee overnight, and we baptized the hotel clerk while we were there, staying in an emergency situation in the hotels. My wife and I were just recounting that not long ago. But lots of fun, lots of wonderful memories there. My advice would be love one another as Christ has loved you. That's the sort of the 11th command that Jesus gave to his disciples, because love, as Peter said, overlooks a lot of faults, overcomes a lot of faults. And if you have that, you can survive just about anything, and if you don't have that, you really can't survive hardly anything. So my strongest encouragement would be to love one another. I'd like to say congratulations on your 100th anniversary, and I would like to say thank you for blessing my life for the nearly 4.5 years we were there as a young preacher, and really I have an eternal debt to Chapel Hill Church of Christ and have nothing but fond memories of it.
Well, my name is Ted Brooks, and our association with Chapel Hill was from 1982 to 1989, and my wife and I retired May of 2016, and we built a house here in Glencoe, Alabama, where it all began for us about 40 years ago, and it's our hometown, and we hope this is the last home that we'll live in. to have so many. It's a great place, being a small town, to raise your family and live. My oldest son was 3 months old when we moved there and grew up in his formative years. Started school there at the Forest School, and my youngest son was born there. I remember a late night raccoon hunt with the teenagers. That was great fun and a new experience for me. I remember fantastic vacation Bible schools and Bible camps, and a fantastic youth group with great young Christian teens like Kevin Doherty and Tammy and Janita and Kenneth and Kevin and Lisa Pratt, among others, many others. I remember a snowy New Year's Eve night up at Fall Creek Falls, where I had gone with a bunch of the young adults to go up there and secure our facilities for the upcoming summer Bible camp. I remember Billy Curtis and his awesome counts on special days where we had attendance drives. Faithful and loving shepherds like Ed Harper and N.C. Shankle, Ed Doherty, Austin Smith. I remember souls being won and new babes in Christ maturing in their service in the kingdom. And I can honestly say that my years with the Chapel Hill Church of Christ were the happiest years in my preaching career. I guess the Lord has the best advice, and I'll just quote him. 1 Corinthians 15, verse 58, be steadfast, immovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, insomuch as you see your labor is not in vain in the Lord. I think that's pretty good advice for all of us. We have a mansion for us all just over the hilltop, and the hilltop's getting closer for all of us. And some of our number have already gone to be with our Lord. Some even from my generation, like my dear brothers Ivy and Mike, and they're waiting for us. And so I think it's just a reminder to us that as we walk down heaven's road together, that we need to stay as busy as we can, making sure we're on heaven's road and that we're bringing as many folks as we can with us while there's still time.
I was preaching in Louisville, Kentucky in 1989, and I was looking for another opportunity. I don't remember how I found out that Chapel Hill was looking for a minister, but I found them and interviewed with the elders who were in place then. Two of those have gone on, they've passed on. But I came and interviewed, I'm not sure when I interviewed, but I was looking at a Gospel Advocate the other day, and it had my address from March of '89. Well, I figure I was there then and stayed there till June of '94. And so I'm not sure how I found out about it. I just heard that the church was looking, and I didn't know anybody there before I came. It's just came and interviewed with the elders like we didn't know each other before that. I live in Valdosta, Georgia. I preach in Adel, which is about 24 miles or 30 minutes from our house. I've been here since started part-time in May of 2011. The church unfortunately had divided, and they were looking for a preacher, and after some time preaching here, I decided to come and work with them. And with God's help and a lot of conversations, got the church back together. But that's all to God's glory. And since then, I've been working to try and strengthen the congregation here. Oh, there are just so many. You think about individual people. There again, some of those people have passed on too, but I had really enjoyable times with some of the members there, just visiting their homes. And of course, I love Bible camp. It was a lot of work in getting that ready. And I had been to a Bible camp as a young man, but I'd never operated one before. And with the help of Brother Jeff Smith over in Shelbyville, I got to do that for about 5 years. And I enjoyed being with the young people. We'd go on some retreats and things like that. And some great, great people in Chapel Hill. And we developed a lot of friendships and still have friendships with people from there now, even though we've been gone 23 years. So I have some good memories of the members and being able to preach God's truth without compromise when I preached there. It was a good work. Number one, stay with the Bible and don't let anybody move you away from God's truth, no matter what the subject. Have a strong Bible school program and work with your young people. As I look at our family situation today, if you don't have strong families, you won't have a strong congregation. And from those strong families, you get your Bible teachers, your deacons, and your elders, and you just get strength on the whole for the church when your families are strong. So your young people, strengthen them and find ways to strengthen them and encourage people. I know that there are so many opportunities for people to go and attend things like, especially your leaders. Go to things like the Freed Hardeman lectures, not just to interview a preacher, but come over there and listen and learn. And go to things like Polishing the Pulpit. I know it's not always convenient, but sometimes a person, the leaders could go for 1 or 2 days. It helps me a lot. If you want the church to be where it's supposed to be in the future, each generation should be strong to be always building that next generation. And as the generations come and we go, let them pass that torch of, as it were, of truth and strength, because congregations can change in one generation. So make that if you want the church to be where it's supposed to be in 100 years, each generation of people can make that happen.
Yes, hello, I'm Jim Martin. I preached in Chapel Hill from 1994 to 1999. I grew up in Marshall County. I went to Lewisburg. I graduated high school from Marshall County Senior High School, but had close connections with Chapel Hill all the time I was growing up. I attended meetings there and visited from time to time over the years when I was young. After leaving Chapel Hill to take a position at the University of North Alabama, I teach journalism there, and I'm a professor, a full professor at the UNA, but I also do supply preaching around. And so I've been preaching since I left Chapel Hill, but just not at the same place. There are more congregations in Lauderdale County, Alabama, than in any other county in the United States. So there are about 60 different congregations in the county, or a few more, and I have preached, not all these are in the county, but at 34 different congregations during the time that we've been away from Chapel Hill. Sometimes fill-in work, sometimes Vacation Bible School or gospel meetings, and a couple of times I've worked as an interim for a little while a preacher was sick or indisposed in some different way. So I've been preaching this time. I'm a member at the Killen Church. I teach a Bible class on Wednesday night, and I have been a deacon there before I went to Second Creek for a few years as a preacher there. Okay, well, again, since I was raised only about 10 miles away, there are many fond memories with the Middle Tennessee area and growing up there. But with the Chapel Hill Church in particular, I think about the Monday school or Tuesday school. I don't remember which day that we have it at different congregations. We've done it different ways, but starting the Monday school was a good thing, and I have fond memories of that and the children there. And it's hard to believe that some of those children now are old enough to have children of their own, and some do actually. And so time really flies. In addition to that, why, I think the fifth quarter, and I'm not sure if Chapel Hill still does that or not, but after the home football games, we had a meal for our team and for the visiting team, and we called ahead of time and let the coaches know that we would do that so that they would not have to stop on the way for a meal. And we had a really good time with that, and we even expanded it over into some of the basketball games a little bit later, but we started it as after the football games, and I have some fond memories of that. Well, it would be hard for me to improve on the words of the Apostle Paul. Be steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord. Say thank you for all the happy times. My children grew up their formative years, and they've turned out well, and a lot of that is due to the influence there at Chapel Hill and the church. We really loved our time there, and appreciate everything that everyone has done for us over the years.
Hey guys, if you don't know me, my name is J.D. Schwartz, and I guess you could say that my connection to this church goes back to 2005 when I was hired as the first full-time youth minister in the history of this church. I was blessed with the 11 years that I spent here at this church with my family. Of course, I'm talking about Amy and Abigail and Lane, but also with this church family. I'm sorry that I can't be here, but I want you to know that I still think about this congregation on a regular basis, daily and weekly, and still pray for you and consider you to be some of the greatest blessings in my life. Some of the neatest memories I have of this church are just the times that we would be together as family. I know early on and even on into later, I loved the Sunday nights during the summer when we would go as a big group and just go play volleyball. I loved church camp with this group. I loved spending time with not just our teenagers and not just our children, but with you as families as well. You know, some of the things that I'm so proud of, not that I did any of it or that this church should take credit for it where credit is due to God, but I'm so proud of the fact that this church has produced so many ministers, men who love God's word and who have wanted nothing more than to go out and share that word with other churches and with other people in this world. I'm so proud of that. I'm so thankful for your vision as a church, and as for the elders and their constant encouragement for our young people, and the fact that we have young people growing up to be missionaries and ministers and wives of missionaries and ministers, teachers in the church and deacons in the church. I'm just so thankful for that and proud of that. I guess you could say, just looking back over the 11 years that I spent here, the memories really all kind of run together, but it's just one big, awesome memory of family, and I'm thankful for that. I guess I really have two things that I would say as, I guess, words of advice for this church for the next 100 years. It's hard to think in terms of that kind of time from this moment here. But I guess I would say two things. The first being, continue to love each other the way you always have. This is one of the ways that we were so blessed as a family, my family, the Schwartz family here, is that we were loved like family. From the day we got here to the day we left, and even now, I'm thankful to say that I know I'm still loved by this congregation, and I want you to know that I still love you as a congregation. We still talk about you on a regular basis. Again, we still pray for you all the time. Continue to love each other as Christ loved his church. I guess the second thing I would say, and I'm trying not to get too preachy, but don't function out of fear. Be a church that I know you are, that with boldness and courage goes into this community with nothing more than a desire to change her people and to bring people to the Lord. Don't be afraid of what other people or other churches might say about you if you are following the Word of God and doing what God wants you to do. This church is such a special church with special people who have abilities to make a difference in people's lives. Use that in courage and boldness and move forward for the next 100 years. Be a church that 100 years from now continues to be here because you've made a difference in I guess, the kingdom. It's such a neat thing to say that we are a part of God's kingdom. And that ought to give us boldness. That ought to give us power to do whatever God has called us to do. I just wanted to give you a quick update. I feel like I'm on camera and you haven't gotten to see my family, but I wanted you to know that Amy and the kids are doing great. Amy just recently took a job as the third fourth grade teacher at Columbia Academy. She's still got the deer in the headlights look, but she's doing great. I know she's going to do great. It's just tough for her to get back into it after 11 years of being away from it. Abigail is in 5th grade this year, loving it, continuing to grow up to be a beautiful young lady, both inside and out, and I'm so proud of her. And Lane is continuing to come out of his shell with his just little snarky attitude and fun-loving, just who he is, his personality. He's also in the middle of a crazy growth spurt where he eats everything in sight and then double that. So with all that said, they're doing well. And we wish we could be here with you today, and we're sad that we can't. But we're still just 25 minutes down the road, and we'll be back. We love you so much. Thank you for loving us.
I had the privilege and honor of serving as the pulpit minister at Chapel Hill from 2001 to 2017. I'm the pulpit minister for the Peachtree City Church of Christ, which is basically a suburb of Atlanta. We're on the southwest side of Atlanta. I moved to Chapel Hill when I was 26 years old. We raised our kids in Chapel Hill, at Chapel Hill. They were just little babies when we came. I learned an awfully lot at Chapel Hill. I just saw Peyton step in the door there. You know, I watched those boys grow up from the time that they were 5, 6, and 7 years old. Watching all those kids grow up, baptizing a lot of them, being there when many of them were born, of course, is one of my favorite things. We knew a lot of good folks at Chapel Hill, still do, but a lot of those who we knew have gone on. And, that's something that I guess if you're at any church for any length of time, that happens. But there was a great deal different people there when we left than there were when we started. Some of those fond memories are with folks who have gone on to be with the Lord, and we celebrate that, of course. But their loved ones and their family who are still there, who have such a great place in our heart. You know, used to on Wednesday nights before Thanksgiving, we would have a church bonfire and coon hunt. And when WT got where he couldn't do that anymore, then we kind of switched it over to the bowling on Wednesday night before Thanksgiving. We got a lot of traditions there. A lot of those traditions were there before we got there, and a lot of other ones we started, and maybe they'll keep going. Both girls are at Freed Hardeman right now. They had just incomparable Bible teachers there at Chapel Hill. who meant so much to them, who not only taught them in the classroom, but who modeled it in every day of their lives. And my girls got to see that. And when folks ask about my girls, I always say that they were raised by the Chapel Hill Church of Christ. And so we got a lot of memories that go way back with a lot of those families there. Good memories, some sad memories. You know, we've been through some hard times and that sort of thing. But for the most part, Chapel Hill to us is who we are, and we're who we are because of that. And a lot of those church folks who made an indelible impression on us are Chapel Hill people. So that's just some of the specific things about Chapel Hill. There are obviously lots of memories and lots of stories, swimming rivers at night and manhunts and all kinds of other things that went on that were crazy stories and things we'll never forget. That horseback riding and all kinds of things that we did. It seemed like countless parades. There was always a parade going on. We were always at the Webb's house playing spades, playing rook with folks, something we'll of course always treasure and look forward to doing more of that as we go on. Well, one of my favorite things about Chapel Hill while we were there, and I think before, was that Chapel Hill to a large degree was kind of isolated, kind of out by itself. So a lot of the fusses and fights that other churches were going through, Chapel Hill, because of, I think it's geographical isolation, was able to stay out of a lot of those things. And they were able to define who they were without being worried about, well, what if so-and-so says this or what if so-and-so says that? And so basically they got to determine their own identity based on who they wanted to be and who they felt the Lord wanted them to be, without having to worry about, you know, what another congregation was going to think about them. And to me, that was always one of the real big strong points. And I always hope that church will always move forward, realizing that their job is to answer to the Lord, and they don't have to answer to other churches, and they don't have to answer to anybody else, but just keep being what they've always been. And that is a congregation that wants to figure out the best thing that we can do for this community, to be for this community what we need to be, and glorify God and bring souls to Him in the process. So just the idea of determining our own identity, or letting the Lord determine our identity, and not some of the other church politics and church fusses that go around, you know, around us sometimes. Yeah, I'll just say this, and I've told this church that I've never quit saying this, that I've never quit saying I love them, and I would never quit saying thank you for what you meant to me and my family, and will always mean to me and my family. Took a risk hiring a young guy, and I hope it was. I know this one that I benefited and was blessed by, and I know that Isaac's gonna feel the same way about that. We love this church. We have always loved this church, and we've always loved the people that make up this church. And we just want to say we love you, thank you, and we can't wait to see you pretty soon.
Hello, I'm Isaac Bourne, the current preacher here at the Chapel Hill Church of Christ. We're so thankful that you're able to come out and enjoy this day with us as we celebrate our 100th anniversary as a congregation of the Lord's Church here in Chapel Hill. We hope you have enjoyed this video that we have put together for you that shows our past members who are now ministers as youth ministers and preachers at different congregations throughout the Brotherhood, and also the former ministers of this congregation who helped lead this congregation into what it is today. We're so thankful for their devotion and dedication to the Lord's Church and this congregation particularly. We're also extremely thankful for our elders, our shepherds who have led us over the last 100 years to be a beacon in this community and also throughout the world as a congregation of the Lord's people that love the gospel, that love lost people, and love bringing lost people to that soul-saving gospel. We're so thankful for our members that make this congregation as wonderful as it is. Many times throughout the interview process, the different ministers tell me about how much they love Chapel Hill, the people at Chapel Hill, and how their time here was one of the happiest of their ministries. We're so thankful for your presence here today. May God bless you.